Welcome to Real Property Tools video tutorial. We'll be covering in the next couple minutes the financing section. There are five fields, and only four of them can you enter information in. There's loan amount, interest rate, amortization, term, and DCR, which is debt coverage ratio. For the loan amount, we ask you to enter in the loan to value right here. I have spoken to a bank for this property, and they will do a 75% loan to value, and that will auto calculate the loan amount based off of purchase price. The fixed interest rate, for the basic version, you can only do fixed interest rates. There's be no interest only. Again, the bank said they do 3.85 on this deal. Amortization, for residential, 30 years is pretty standard, but as you move to commercial, 25 is actually more standard. Banks will do 30, more so for apartments than anything else, and you can actually find agency or government debt that'll go up to 40. So we allow you to customize that as you'd like, but I know from talking to the bank on this deal, they'll do 30 years. Next is the loan term. It's rare that investors will use a 30-year loan term for their loans. Probably a combination of the bank doesn't want to do it, and also that the bank will charge more the longer the loan is. In the basic version, you can only go up to 7 years for your loan term. And then the last section here, auto-calculated. It's a metric, pretty important metric, debt coverage ratio. Bank will look at this to see how safe of an investment it is for them. That information is actually pulled from a combination. It's actually the net operating income divided by the debt service to give you a ratio of the coverage. The debt service, that number, that's calculated from the information you just put in. So 75% loan to value, so a loan that's $937,500 at 3.85 interest, amortizing over 30 years. Your debt service payment every year will be $52,741. So that's where that feeds into. That combined with the NOI, calculate your DCR. One last note before we go, banks will definitely look at the debt coverage ratio, but when they're doing it, their underwriting, they want to make sure the debt coverage ratio hasn't been manipulated or is just accurate. So one of the things to look at is the expenses specifically. They'll look down here, and that's why instead of just summing up your expenses, we added a few metrics: expense per unit, expense per square foot, and expense as a percentage of effective gross income. Three metrics that the bank is going to look at closely to determine if their numbers make sense, and I'll cover why that is in the video tutorial covering income and expense section.